Hey everybody, it's Bruce with Nature Calls, and I'm in my DIY bridge hammock that got all the parts and everything from ripstop by the roll. They do a laser cut of the fabric, so you don't have to worry about cutting the fabric or anything. They provide the webbing, and I got the extra kit, so I got the little clips, the loop aliens, the bars, steel. I think the base price, something like $48, and then with everything on, the total cost was like $90. So not bad, and fun project. It's definitely a bridge hammock, originally designed, I think, by this guy named Bick, or hiking dad or hiking father. Good on him. I mean, it's I've never tried to design a bridge hammock, because there's a lot that goes into the tensions and dynamics of what's going on in a bridge hammock. So good on him, and I think there's a lot of guys on the hammock forums that have designed and worked a lot with these bridge hammock designs. So big kudos to all those guys. And I think that all kind of came about in this design. I think there were some designs that were done, and then a guy named Grizz, and then the hiking dad, or Bick, he went further with the designs, and pretty cool. So let's get into the build. Here's the whole kit that I got. You just get the basic kit. You get the laser cut fabric. This is Airwave 1.8 ounce, real nice fabric. It's not as slick as I like it, but in a bridge hammock, I find you don't really need to move around too much. And I'm in a gathered in hammock, I like to pull myself and scooch around a lot in those. With the kit, the basic kit, you also get the AM steel. This is 7/64 AM steel. And you get the tubing webbing. Not really sure that's tubular webbing. Doesn't seem like it's tubular webbing, but it's decent webbing. Now I went ahead and got the poles. These are an add-on. There's 36-inch match set of poles. They're Easton. I'm sure they're made for this hammock, but this gives me opportunity to kind of mess around if I wanted to do like a trekking pole situation. Have these. And I also got the Loop Alien titanium bridge hammock little doodads. These are a real trick. I'll show you a close up of these a little bit later on, but they've kind of got everything in this nice little package, and they've got it thicker in areas where it needs to be thicker. They're really well done. It gives you the ability to add under quilts and top covers, all these little tiny Loop Aliens. So we'll get more into that later. But first thing I need to do is to mark off an inch from this corner here, from each corner on these outsides. And that's where I'm going to take the webbing and tack it down to start off the side. All right, where we start, so if you can see, this is the one end of it. It's so long, I can't get it all up here, but you have the 2 points. And we're going to be putting the webbing, this webbing, all along this edge. And we need to start the webbing an inch from that corner, because we're going to be doing a lot of folding and hemming. And so let's do an inch on each one of these corners. And we'll be sewing that webbing up to this inch. Now, you could measure that and cut a piece, but what I like to do is just take all of this and start sewing. So I take all the 25 feet of this webbing I have, I'll start sewing it, I'll sew it all the way down to that one, and that's when I'll cut it. I won't do any pre-cutting, because more often than not, you're gonna be short. So just go ahead and start sewing that on. And I really don't need to, in fact, what I'm gonna do is sew right down the middle. This first one, we're just tacking webbing onto that. Then we're going to be folding it over, and that's what we're going to be wanting sewing on the sides, but I'll show that to you when I get there. All right, so there's my little 1-inch silver mark. Just butt that up against that. Make sure this edge is right with that edge. And I like to do as least amount of holes as possible. I know you could sew along the edge, but this first one, we're not gonna see any of this because it's going to be all folded over. So we'll just kind of give this a few little, there's my little pedal. Back that up a little bit. Okay, now I'll just line everything up. Make sure everything's lined up. A little tension to start. There we go. New sewing machine, so. And I'll just keep adjusting that until I get down to the other end. All right, so now I've reached the other end of it, and there's my little mark for the 1 inch. So this is when I'll go ahead and cut it. Right there. And I'll burn that end off. Okay, so there's the first webbing. See, I just went right down the middle, which I think will give it more strength rather than going on the edge. So now what we're going to do is roll it over once, and roll it over twice, and we're going to sew like maybe an 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch from the edge on both sides. And then I'm going to do that on the other side, and I'm going to make sure that I'm folding it in the same direction. So I'm going to sew down there and sew down there the whole length.
Forces of China and British Empire.
There, I've got both sewed on through the webbing. I did this inside first and that outside, and that is it. So maybe about a 1/16 of an inch, and that side's done. I'm going to do the next side the same way. Just going to make sure I fold these the same direction so it looks right. All right, so now we got all of our side suspension webbing involved, all sewed in. So now we have these end pieces, and you can see they're like 2 points. All we have to do is hem these together and do that pseudo flat filled, whatever seam. I'll show you how you do it. And it really doesn't matter which way you do it. If you do it right, it'll look great because it'll look the same either way. So, so we just take those 2 points, put them together. Step 1. Then we sew those together. And what I would do is start down here, and that way if you have any differential up here, you'll be able to trim that back. But you want this to be where you start at the bottom apex part. So down here, and then sew out to the points. So we've got those 2 points together. And I'll go ahead and start down a little bit. This is kind of one of my old man tricks. I get those lined up. But I'll start down here, and what I'll do is I'll just line this up with the, oh, sorry. So I'll just start it down a little ways. I'll line this up with the edge of the foot. That'll give me a good range of hem. I'll reverse it. Now we'll just sew it all the way down. Make sure everything's lining up. This is a really grippy fabric. Sorry for the dirty fingernails. I've been working on my daughter's car. Okay, so now I've sewn down, so now I'm going to invert it. And I'll put that seam out. Push it all out. And again, starting from this apex point, I'm gonna just sew again, exactly the same way, all the way down. That'll be my second thing, and then we'll do one more. Make sure everything's out of the way. So now, I cut some webbing. Bic does 11 inches, so I'll just take his word for it. These are the new loop aliens. So we just stick that through there, even them up. I gotta burn the ends of these real quick. Keep them from fraying. We'll even those up. And I kind of like how Bic just does a single line down the middle, so I think I'll do that as well. Line them up. Okay, so now we have the loop alien on this webbing, and I'll do all four of them the same way. All right, so now we're at the point where we've got this little end piece. It's nice because they have, when you get the laser cut, it's already perfectly done, so you don't have to do any trimming. So now I'm just going to do a rolled hem on this end here, not the side that has the webbing, but this side, and do a quick rolled hem on there. Now for looks, I'm going to roll it toward same direction as this webbing. Then you just finish it off. I just did a little bead basically right along that edge, so it looks finished off. Now we're going to just take our little end pieces, and this is the webbing side. We're going to sew those on. You can sew them on the inside or the outside, whatever side you want. No one's gonna penalize you. You'll do it that way. It really depends on if you want that on the inside, or you want that on the outside, or you want that on the inside or the outside. I mean, it's up to you what you want. I think I'll have this be the outside, and I'm gonna put these on the inside like that. Maybe like that. That'll look cool. All right, that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm just gonna sew right down the middle to more or less keep it in place. And then when I go back and bar tack it, I can go around the outside. I can do all kinds of things, but I think this will work pretty good. And for the suspension, take the amp steel they gave you, and then we're going to make 4 pieces of 52 inches long, is what they suggest. There. And I've made some shorter ones. These are called kind of like dog bones. I made shorter ones. The longer they are, the more stable it is. So we're gonna go with the 52, and What some people find is with their winter tarps, it doesn't fit quite right. So I've made shorter dog bones for people. I can put a link to that kind of that video. But now we'll mark where we want to do our little loops. We're going to make some marks. This will help us do our fix the loops. So there's 6 inches and 10 inches. And mark that on each end. And we'll do that to all 4 pieces. Now splice these all together. I do is I pull the end a little bit, maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch. And then I cut off half of them. And that just helps. I go ahead and I do that to both ends, right from the get-go. Okay. Now we want to find our 10-inch mark. I had to use a gold Sharpie, of course. So there's a 6-inch mark, there's a 10-inch mark. Just squish it down a little bit. And then what I use is basically like guitar string, folded in half. I don't know, it's maybe 15 inches long. And you kind of find the spot where it goes through real easy. That way it won't, you're not splitting anything. We just open this up a little bit. We put that end in and we fold down. We've tapered it. Bring it back. You just kind of massage it through like that. Then you see where your 6-inch mark is. You pull that through until that 6-inch mark comes through. Squish it down. The same thing again, kind of find right in the middle where it kind of easily goes through. There we go. Let's put that and go all the way to the other end. Put that through. Fold over your taper. Squish that on up. Massage it through. Like that. You just pull that long piece through. You tighten it all down. It's called a lock Brummel. So now we're going to bury as much as this piece into here as we can. And I know there's going to be some purists out there. So I'm going to come up. Don't need to bury all that. It's locked. The way it is locked. This is kind of helps maintain that lock a little bit and then makes it look good. So I'm gonna come up maybe 5 inches. I don't need to go all the way up. Tested this many times and you don't need to do that. So now you really need to find a spot where it goes in real easy. And then you feed it right down the middle of it. It's kind of like a Chinese finger puzzle. Kind of push it a little bit to let it open up. Guide your wire down nice and easy. We're going to try and get as close to that knot as we can. You don't have to go all the way down there, but you can see it came out right there. That's perfect. Open that up. And we kind of squish it on up, slowly kind of massage it. If you get too excited, you'll get a knot. But as soon as it starts to go down in there, it starts to slide real easy. It'll eventually come out down here. So there it is. So now we'll pull it, squish, pull, squish, pull. Now, this is where, like if you would have done it perfectly, you would have pulled that out and it would have buried the whole thing. What I do, and it's not that big a deal, is I just pull this back. So I squish it all the way out. Now I just pull it back a little bit, right about there. do kind of an angled cut, and I pull it on out. And, you know, I've done it with the taper with the knot, and the amount of flow from there to there with a taper, yeah, it's a little bit smoother, but it's just not necessary in my opinion. You can do that if you want, but I don't, and I haven't for years. So there's one end. Now this other end is a little bit trickier. Let's find our 10-inch. There's our 10-inch spot. Bring that through, find our tapered end, fold it over, pull it back, massage it on through. I use my fingernails, pull it through until our 6-inch mark comes through. There it is right there. Squish it a little bit, put your fish tool in, and you can use little yarn things. Now, this is where it's a little bit different because this is definitely thicker. So I take that all the way through, all the way past the point where it's buried, so it's back down to the thin part. Fold it over, massage it. It takes a little bit more massaging. It does come through eventually. We'll get rid of this fish wire. Now, it's just a matter of massaging it past all that buried and that loop. There we go. And that's it. Now I'll go ahead and bury that and do the rest of the 4. So now we just take our dog bones that we just made, put it through that hole there. Gotta get on through there. There we go. Take the other end, and we just do a little lark's heading. And do that on each corner. Nice. Here's that really cool, so that's right there on these, that's where the spreader bar will go right there. And then these little hooks, the one on the bottom, you can do an underquilt, the one on the top, you can do a top cover, bug net. Nice little units. This is just one of my whippy slings from all my hammocks. And these are the ends of the dog bones. And you could do all kinds of various ways of attaching this, soft shackles. There's like little triangles you can use, descending rings. So there's lots of ways to do that. I like to use carabiners just because I can hook on things like my pack. I can hook, I can just hook a lot of things onto those. So I like to use carabiners. So there we got those 2 ends on. Here are the poles that I got with the kit. We just put them in that second hole right there. Now here's where the little hooks are, so you can hook on an underquilt or a top cover bug net. Let's give it a try. Okay. Nice. That's pretty cool. So bridge hammock, very cool. It's like most bridge hammocks where it kind of comes in the side. Like some of my bridge hammocks, I can put a sleep mat inside and it raises you up. I suppose you could probably do that in this one. I wouldn't say this is any better than my other bridge hammocks. It does the job. That's nice. It's very nice. Fabric's nice. Yeah, this is your DIY home bridge hammock. I wouldn't necessarily say it's anything crazy great or anything like that. I've definitely got better bridge hammocks, but it's definitely something. I think the total cost was $90. That came with the poles and the amp steel and the little hooks, fabric, and the webbing. So definitely work a little bit with the suspension, but I think this is sleepable for sure. All right, well, there you go. Another fun little project. Really like the fact that the fabric was already laser cut. Made it very easy to put together. So, all right, let's get it out of the trail. Bye now.